Yeah, it's going.
Hey, everybody. Good night. Good night. And welcome to tonight's episode of Teen Talk Live. I am your host, Ann Dillard. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. And tonight I am so excited to have Dr. Richelle with us. And we have just this amazing power packed episode for you. Tonight we're talking about the path to positive thinking. Dr. Richelle, welcome to Teen Talk Live.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad that you accepted the invitation to come on and just talk with us and share your expertise with the audience.
Yes, I'm excited. And this topic rings near and dear to me, right? Because this is kind of what I've been saying. Like, let's focus on the positive. So I'm excited because I know that
Absolutely.
everybody needs it.
Absolutely. So let us, if you would just take a minute, introduce yourself to the audience, tell them who you are and tell them about some of the great stuff that you have been doing.
So I am Dr. Richelle Whittaker, as Ann said. I am the founder and director of Providential Counseling and Consulting. And we, at my practice, we specialize in maternal mental health and women of color. I also do work with kids, providing assessments in the schools in addition to. So, but I focus on maternal mental health in my practice.
That is so important. I love the concept of the maternal mental health because in my Rotary Club back in Minnesota, that's one of the key things that they focus on because it's so needed in our community, right? And I love the idea that you do these clinical testing for our young people because sometimes, they need somebody they can trust,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
right? To be honest. And we know what the assessments may say, but then there's so much more that contributes to that, right?
Right. So
Right.
when I do assessments, I consider the whole child. I'm not just looking at what the survey instruments tell me. I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at their home environment, and so often, the kids that look like us are mislabeled because of things that have happened to them, traumas that they've experienced, and so I'm glad to be able to have somebody that looks like them be able to spend time with them and assess them and give them a diagnosis that is accurate.
Right, right. And I know before we got on camera, we were talking about that a little bit and give them interventions,
Yeah.
right? To help them beyond the diagnosis, but to really treat what we're seeing. So
Yes, because I tell parents all the time, I understand the need or the desire for a label, but it's not so much the label in as much it is as it is in the intervention. So how do we, work with your child, or how do we work with whatever the diagnosis is that's presenting itself? How do we work behaviorally? How do we modify? How do we accommodate? How do we deal with those things instead of focusing on you're this? How do I help you? How can I help you?
my goodness, that's so important. And we have to have you back on Teen Talk Live to talk to our parents because this is so important. And our parents, and especially in our communities of color, they are just scared about the diagnosis and getting a diagnosis in the first place. And this is such a great topic. Well, tonight we are here to talk about the path to positive thinking during this pandemic. And let's talk about why this is so important that we, guard our minds and we are all about this positive thinking.
Well, if you look at the news or you get on social media, there is so much negativity out there. You see the things about, people dying from COVID-19, or, a new case has come up, or we'll be in this for, who knows how long. And then not to mention that, but even just the economy and people not having jobs or money. And so if you focus on that, you'll be in a downward spiral. I think we all would. And so
Yes.
what I have tried to do, um, is encourage everyone to look at the positive things that are happening, or the positive things that have come out of, us having to slow down. I have read so many good stories. I, can attest to some good things that have happened for me and my family during this time.
That is so important. And I was looking at, first of all, what I did, Dr. Richelle, I started blocking people in my inbox that was
Oh,
just sending me all, I know that's probably jumping to solutions, but I mean, I just got overwhelmed with all the conspiracy theories and all the stories and all the stuff that was so negatively draining me. Right. So I blocked those people. And then I've had to unfollow people who keep posting all that stuff. And
mhm.
I'm like, it is just draining.
Yes, it can be. So that's why I say, I mean, I guess that's kind of getting into solutions, like you said, but kind of taking a break
Right.
from social media, just
Yes. And it's important. Well, let me ask you, why is it so important? What does that positive energy and that positive thinking do for us? What's the impact that it has on us?
so I think, for us, if we are looking at things positively and we're staying upbeat, we won't. We can't allow the negativity to come and just kind of consume us. But I also think because energy transfers, right? And so if
Yeah.
you're a mom or you're a partner or you're a friend and you're in the house with someone else, your positive energy will transfer to them. And so that will help your whole household, right? And it helps your atmosphere. It keeps everything on a lighter note and keeps people happier. If you're a mom, it helps to transfer that energy to your kids because your kids feed off of you. And so if you're negative and you're down, then they in turn will feel that and be the same way. And I feel like it's more difficult to, once kids kind of go down, to kind of pull them back up because they start thinking about all the things they can't do. And it just becomes a downward spiral. So you're in the house and everybody's just on the floor.
That is so true. It's hard. It's hard to make that U-turn once you dip like
Hmm.
that, right? And I know that positive thinking has that psychological impact on you, but what are some of the things? How does it affect you, not just spiritually, but physically? It has a physical
Hmm.
impact on you as well.
So you can feel it in your body. So just for instance, and to make it kind of plain, like when I start to stress and I start to kind of get in my feelings, I feel it like in my shoulders and I feel it in my back. And or your immune system weakens, right?
That's
Um,
right.
and or maybe you aren't able to sleep, and so then that too affects your immune system, so you aren't able to fight off common things. Like right now, well, I'm in Houston, so
Mhm.
allergies are big here. This is like allergy season. But with our weather, it's kind of crazy. And so a lot of people suffer with allergies, and so if you're not taking care of yourself, you'll feel that in a number of ways, whether it's in your
Yeah.
body, in your sinus cavity. You might have aches and pains that you would not ordinarily have. So all of that negative energy just kind of comes out. It's going to come out somewhere.
That is so true. And like you said, it impacts your immune system.
Hmm.
And because of that, the level of stress, we're not meant to endure stress for long periods of time.
Hmm.
And so if our immune system is weak, then we're more susceptible to other kinds of disease. We're more susceptible to contracting COVID-19.
Yes, most definitely. That's why you hear a lot of people, medical professionals talking about taking your vitamins, continuing to exercise, just doing those things. Maybe if you weren't doing them before, really to get into the habit of doing them now.
Yes, yes. So what do we say to teens, who are they're struggling with their thoughts around this time? What can we say to them?
So one of the things that I think is important, and as a mom, I've had to do is sometimes we have kids who are like kind of quiet, they kind of go with the flow, they'll do what's expected, and they're internalizers. So they may be struggling, but we don't know that because what they're, showing us is like, okay, everything is fine. And so, even myself as a parent, I don't have a teen, I have a younger child, but I stopped and started to just took some time and said, hey, how are you feeling? Tell me, how do you like this whole school thing, this online thing? What are you experiencing? And from that conversation, he really just let me know that he was not doing well. And so I think for parents of teens, it's especially important to talk to them, just have conversations, check in with them. How are you doing? Ask them questions, and then
Yeah.
maybe give them some ideas of ways that, or come up with ideas together of ways that you can help them. So like in my case, my son is not doing well with the online school. It's frustrating for him and it's stressing him out. And so he's actually online, like we are, live every day for long periods of time. And so I contacted his school and I said, look, for May, we're gonna have to do something different. Either record the lessons or send me some paper, some packets home, because I'm not gonna continue to do this.
Yeah, it's hard. And I love what you say, because as a mother, you have to know your child and you
Mhm.
have to check in with your child, because it's really hard. And I see parents who are struggling around this time, and they're regimented in getting trying to get the child to to follow all this and to sit for long periods of time and learn on the computer, and it's not working.
No, it's not. But part of what I think it is that if you're working a job, so like for us as therapists,
Yeah,
we know what it's like to have telehealth sessions and to sit for long
yeah,
periods of time. We know how exhausting that can be. But I think
yeah,
for a lot of parents who may be doing work on the computer and then taking a call here and there, they don't have an idea. So they're just like, oh, well, it's just online. You're always on your phone, but it takes a lot of energy to attend with all of the background noise and people moving in and out the house, and then your kids are on in a classroom and everybody's mic is not muted, so it's a lot.
yeah. And sometimes there's not enough devices in the house to facilitate the learning for all the students.
Yes, that's a good
So
point.
that in and of itself is stressful,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
That's something. Wow. So let's talk a little bit to the parents who are themselves, struggling with, let's say they have children who are home with challenging behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have some people who are near and dear to me, and they are home, but the children have really extensive challenging behaviors,
Mm-hmm.
and they're trying to learn, and they're feeling like trapped right now in this space. And some of us say we get to be home with our children, but the ones I'm talking about in particular, they're feeling trapped in this space because they can't escape these challenging behaviors.
And so that's difficult. And so, if you're a single parent and it's just you and the child at home, what I would say is take breaks. Go outside if you can, take walks if you can. If you can't leave your child, you can go stand out and, in front of your door, out in your backyard or out on your balcony, or just open the door and stand in the door. But just take some mental breaks. Even if I've heard of parents having to go into the bathroom and like the bathroom door. So whatever you have to do to keep yourself sane in these conditions and these circumstances, I would say do it. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just take a break. And then also, give your child a break. So in as much as you need a break, give your child a break. So they're struggling too. And I think, even as much as we're struggling, we have to remember that they're struggling too, because their whole world has changed. And so what I know about behavior is that it's an expression. Generally, if you don't have something else going on, it's usually an expression of
Yeah.
your inability to communicate something. And
Right.
so, just keeping that in mind too, as a parent.
Yes. And being, going a little easy on yourself is so important, and it goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, it goes a long way. And so let's talk about how can they shift their thinking, as we talk about, some tips to the path to positive thinking. What are some of the things that they can do to shift their thinking? You started out, and we started out talking about the social media, or the taking a break from the social media. We talk about going outside. What are some of the other ways people can, or other tools they can use to shift their thinking to stay more positive?
So meditation is another way. And so right now, there's several meditation apps that you can use on your phone, apps that you can use that if you aren't familiar with meditating, that can kind of teach you how to meditate. And it's just kind of getting into this space of like quiet and calming your mind down and the things that are around you down. And so meditating is one. I would say also exercise. And so exercise can come in many forms, but it's kind of difficult to remain have these negative thoughts and be in motion. And so I would say exercise, even if it's just like running in place. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything grand, but you know, get your body moving and your mind will follow.
I like that. Get your body moving and your mind will follow. Yesterday, I started doing wall sits. I,
Oh,
yes, I pulled out my yoga ball, right? And I
mhm.
put it in back of me and just, just start wall sits with the ball in back of me because I'm like, I gotta move.
That's a good idea. And it's
I
something
gotta
that you
move.
can do. You have.
Yeah, I feel it today, but, but it's something that seems so simple when I was doing it, but I feel it. That's awesome. So, exercise, moving. How about when we look at nutrition, Dr. Rochelle?
Oh, yes, most definitely. So we know if we load up on carbs, that tends to have draining effects on us. And so, be
And
mindful
that
of what.
sugar, right? Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
Be mindful of what you eat. I know right now is you're at home. And so you might, sometimes people are stress eaters. And so it's easy just to go into the pantry or the refrigerator and just eat, eat, eat. But if you can kind of moderate like what you're eating and when you're eating, I think that also can help. It also helps to not eat so late so that, sometimes if you have difficulty falling asleep, part of that is like what you're eating before you go to bed and the weight of it.
Right. That is so true. It's so true. And it's hard to stay positive when you're not able to sleep.
Right. Because
It's hard.
sleep is
Um,
it's of the
yeah.
utmost importance. Sleep can do so much
Yes.
for you.
Yes, it can. And I know my sleep is disturbed. I am now sleeping in shifts.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it's like I'll take, let's say 10 to 3, and then I'm up till 6, and then I'll take another shift till 9. I don't book clients real early. So it's like I'm sleeping in shifts. What can we tell parents, or even parents whose children their sleep is disrupted? Because it's hard to stay positive when that's messed up.
Right. So I would say if you're waking up in the middle of the night, one of the easiest things to do is to pick up your phone and start playing on your phone. But the light from your phone does something and it keeps you up. It is harder to wire down, or even turning on the TV keeps you kind of from being able to wire back down. So I would say try laying in the bed for a little while, or maybe even
Mhm.
meditating. Um, this is like going to sound real simple, but like counting backwards, right? That's an old school
Yeah,
trick. Or counting sheep.
right.
So I would try that,
Yes.
um, to see if that would help. So, because once you kind of get up and start moving, it's hard to kind of go back to sleep. So doing those things kind of like, I say talk to yourself like, okay,
Mhm.
let me take some deep breaths, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I really know I need to be in the bed. And I know that
Right.
the different scheduling, well, I don't have anywhere to go, so it doesn't matter. That's a whole nother piece. So I would say, try to keep, a parent and a child, try to keep each other on a schedule.
Yes, especially when it comes to sleep.
Mhm.
That is so important because if you're rested, chances are we'll have a better attitude and we'll have a better attitude towards each other.
Yes, that is so true, right? If you don't get sleep, you're more
Yeah,
irritable.
look, if you don't get enough sleep and you're cranky, then you get on everybody's nerves and you're short.
Yes,
And it's hard. It doesn't make for sheltering in place. It doesn't make for that to be a good experience.
No. So yeah, it's good to get some sleep.
Awesome, awesome. So I am looking at, our time and I'm like, I can't believe we've been talking for almost a half hour already. So
Wow.
what else do you think our audience need to know, Dr. Richelle, about positive thinking during this time? I mean, everything, so much is out of our control right now,
Mhm.
but I know that our thoughts are something that we, for the most part, can reel in. So what are some of the other things that we need to leave with our audience?
So one of the things, actual activity that um, I would encourage others to try is to write down everything that you're feeling. All of your negative thoughts, write them down, get them out, and then maybe not at the same time, maybe another day, go back or a few hours later, go back and look at them, and then see if you can say, for instance, if you're like, I can't get out, and I'm feeling isolated, and this makes me feel sad or upset. The next day or a few hours later, when you're looking at it, start thinking about ways or things that you can do to kind of help change your thought pattern. So, yes, I'm at home. Yes, I'm isolated, but I have family and friends that I can call. And so that way it gives you something that you can do to kind of change your situation. It gives you more control or feelings of control over the things that you can do, and then that will then in turn help to change the way that you're thinking about the situation, because then you don't feel stuck. A lot of times negativity brings this feeling of there's nothing I can do, and
Right.
so when you have an alternative, it's like, well, yes, I do feel sad, but you know what, I can reach out, I can do this or I can do that. So
That is so good. That is so good. And I'm all about service and serving others, and feeling, getting that emotional, or that mental high from giving service to others. And one quick story: on Saturday, I was, still in bed, and somebody called me, and I picked up the phone, and it was one of my client's great grandma. They were a client years ago, and she called to check in, and she just, wanted to talk to me. And at the end of the conversation, she thanked me so profusely for picking up the phone.
wow.
And she's like, I was feeling lonely, and I'm so glad you picked up the phone. And that just really, swept over me. And on my Facebook page, I started a challenge to ask people, can they call, just reach out to 5 people who you normally don't talk to, reach out to
Mm.
5 people by telephone this week. And somebody said, can I text them? And I'm like, no, just, let them hear your voice. And so that just the impact of how positive she felt after our conversation. Imagine if we got 100 people to reach out to 5 people
Wow.
that they normally wouldn't talk to, 5 people who might be in isolation or feel isolated or unloved. What a difference that would make.
With such a simple act.
Just something so simple. I
That's
did
powerful.
about 4 of my calls today, Dr. Rochelle. And I was like, "Oh, I could do this," because I started feeling better.
Hmm. And you make a great point, because helping others does in turn help us to feel better. So that is
Yes.
that is very true. And I think, it's kind of thinking outside the box. It's very simple, but how often do we pick up our phones? Like somebody said, well, what if I text? That's what we're used to and accustomed to. Um,
Right.
but how often do we actually pick up the phone to call somebody and have a conversation? And so that's powerful.
It really is. It really is. And I'm feeling really, I was so energized,
Mhm.
and I'm like, I want to do 4 more tomorrow. I
Now you
want to
can
do
challenge
some more.
me.
Right, right. I'm like, but the fact that you can do something.
Mhm.
I have control over that, and I can focus on that. Right. And so yeah, let's do it. Let's do 4 more
Okay,
tomorrow.
I'm on it. I'm like, let me think about who I can call that I haven't talked to in a while.
Exactly, exactly. And just energize your own spirit and energize their spirit. And you know what? This is like our positive thinking campaign.
Okay. And then I might challenge some do what you did on Facebook and then put it up on my Facebook page. That way it can reach even more people.
That is so true. So
Mhm.
true. Something so simple, but it's
Mhm.
in our control,
Yes.
right? Yes. But I am so excited that you took the time to be on Teen Talk Live with us tonight. Would you please tell our audience what's coming up next for you and where they can reach you?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. This has been great. I have enjoyed myself immensely. So what do I have next? So today is Tuesday because it's kind of hard to keep up with the days. But Thursday, myself and another colleague we do brown bag Thursdays for therapists. We do different kind of trainings, just trying to help each other, while we're going through this as we deal with this and then help our clients as well. And so that's Thursday. But you can reach me at providentialcounseling.com. And it's the same thing on Instagram at Providential Counseling. So, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you, and I'm sure our audience will take away some really good tips from this just to remember positive thinking. And, for those who have tried some of these things before, you know what? Look, get some positive affirmations out there. Look in the mirror and talk to yourself. And if you need additional help, reach out to either of us and we
Yes.
can give you some additional resources because it's important to keep your minds elevated. It's important to keep your thoughts positive as we get through this together, right?
Yes. Thank you so
All right. Thank you. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining Teen Talk Live tonight. Again, my name is Ann Dillard, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. And it's a pleasure for me to bring you this information during this time. God bless you and have a good night.